we do, there is on the site. This is the home page, and those who perhaps aren't familiar with the old structure of the Wikivoice site, which Jeremy explained, this diagram here is a useful introduction to the structure of the site. The site is made up of entries, and all the entries are either stakeholders, outcomes, indicators, or valuations. And the outcomes really are the epicenter of everything. So this diagram is good to show that how all the entries are linked on the site. Sorry, I should explain. I'm just going to give you a whistle-stop tour throughout the site. It might be quite quick, and then we'll have time again to do questions. Okay. So that's the existing structure that we've retained. But let me show you now what's new. So as Jeremy said, we've got a new name. I won't go over that again. But we've got a range of visualization tools. So we want to show the links in relation to the site. We think we're pretty unique because we have 4 sets of information that we're able to connect. So how that's done, we've got outcome maps, which are interactive. Like the one I showed you on the home page, that's really specific to all of the entries that users have put up. And you click on each of the related entries, that's hyperlinks that can take you to the next one. We've also got a new feature called chain of events, which I'll show you in more detail later. It's actually pretty exciting. And that's been developed on the idea of series of chains, which a lot of people are talking about at the moment. Been to the big lottery last week, this morning someone mentioned it. And this chain of events is a way that we can link outcomes to one another, because as we know, change leads to more change, and we're finding more and more evidence to demonstrate that one change leads to another. And this chain of events allows you to connect the outcomes in sort of little nodes there. And as I say, I'll show you more detail in a minute, but you can then expand it to see what other outcomes are related to those outcomes. It really is quite a fascinating thing to excited about. So what else is new? Greater interaction for users. We really want users to interact with the information on the site more than ever before. Through that we want them to influence and shape the measurement practice. So it's kind of using crowdsourcing techniques. We love the idea of TripAdvisor, cringe, but we think that's kind of where we want to go with it. So how are we doing that? Well, we can do ratings on every entry now. We're encouraging interaction and different. You can rate it, so if you really like a value, you can use it, you can use it. Or if you just want to leave a question, say, how did you come up with this? Do that, and whoever's left the entry should be able to get an email, respond to it, and hopefully develop things. And the idea of that is, well, through time and organically, we'll have a set of entries which prove really popular, and that will act as validation when other people are looking for browsing information. They say, oh, well, this app is really popular. Maybe that's something we should look at. Okay. We also want to contextualize the entries on there, so improve the understanding, and I'll show you how we want to do that. We've got a feature here called Use By. So we want organisations, and many of you today from organisations that we want to work with, and we want you to sort of give us your information, upload stakeholders you're using, the outcomes that you're using, indicators of value. Why should you do that? Well, we think that helps other similar organisations to see how their reporting can improve. I think it promotes transparency in the work you're doing, and obviously it allows organisations to see feedback. So if you upload your information, and then you get loads of comments back from other people browsing, that's actually good feedback for organisations. The outcome matrix, which is something we're really excited about. So when organisations give us a whole group of their outcomes, for example, we're going to plot it in this map. Oh, you can't see that particularly well there. But along the top, you've got all the stakeholders that you might be working with, and then the outcome groups, as I say, these like categories, if you like. And that gives someone a very good, quick view of one organisation's set of outcomes. Benchmarking, that's another way that we can sort of add meaning to a lot of the indicators that are in there. We've got this section here where we'll be able to link to open data sets, so you've got the synergy with data unity there, like you could perhaps link it to Office of National Statistics. So if you're looking at an indicator, then able to see what the benchmarks are and measure your performance against national performance. So that was a quick tour of what's new. I'll show you a little bit more detail now about the site. So that's the home page. As usual, we've got about, if you want to go in and read about our aims, who should be using it, how, and the history. We already mentioned that. Then about the entries. But these are the two main things about the site, because we want users really are going to come to the global value exchange and they're going to do two things. They're going to look for information, and they do that through the browse entry section, or they're going to add information. And I'll show you briefly how this works. Got contributors, so people create logins, like anything that's simple, and then any sort of contributions you make can be plotted there. And organisations, as I mentioned earlier, we want you to sort of get involved in the project, sort of upload your information to a glossary. So, say you were working within the homelessness sector and you wanted to find set of information, you could just use the top right search bar there, and I've just done one earlier because it will be waiting. So here's one I prepared earlier on homelessness, and as you can see, there's 32 entries there, and it's a real range of entries there, like financial benefits for preventing homelessness in Scotland, homelessness costs, and these are all 32 different. So say you just wanted to look at outcomes, you're then able to filter like that. So I think just using that top right-hand search facility and then filtering on different sections of the website is a really quick way of getting into finding the information that you want. Here is a quick example of the outcome matrix. Slightly larger, so you're able to see it a little bit better. So this one is for the big society capital and also the Scottish Government Organisation. This set of data has been pulled over from the old one, and there was a little bit of overlap between the outcomes. That's why it's labelled as it is. So when I first got to sort of cleanse some of this data, but basically it shows, let's say, all the stakeholders on the top, the outcome groups there, and you can click in and see the outcomes. So let me just show you if I was to click into, say, carer support. Again, I've prepared it. So this is what an entry would look like. Tells you the top outcome, tells you there who added it, contact them if you want, when it was added. And then these coloured boxes are all expandable. And for those of you who remember the old site, I'm sure you can agree with me, it's a lot more aesthetically pleasing, hopefully more intuitive. And yeah, these are the visualization tools. So here you go, you can move this around, you can see that the outcome we're looking at, which is carer support, the changing support for carers, it's got links to all these valuations on the bottom, and stakeholders and indicators at the top there. So we hope that's a good visualization tool. So let me also show you the chain of events map, because this is pretty impressive if I don't mind saying myself. I didn't do it. You can't take credit for it, that's all the web developers. There's something here, unfortunately. But as I was saying, so it's a chain of events. There's evidence to prove that carer support changing has a link to well-being, has a link to time spent in hospital, independent living, and all these direct linked outcomes to this. How they're linked, you'll have to see what the evidence is, and that's stored on the site. But where it becomes really interesting is when you can go up a layer. So if we click on level 2, you may say, wow, yeah. And zooming it out, but what it's done is it's pulled in outcomes which have been linked to outcomes in the existing chain. So it becomes like a bit of a web, and you see things like accommodation built in that, seeking financial advice and self-esteem, and as you go up through the levels, more and more comes in. And okay, it gets quite I can do it all day. It gets quite complicated, but you end up seeing sort of grouping of outcomes here around well-being, recovery, nutrition, mental health. These outcomes are sort of like emerging there. And down at the bottom you've got things like skills and employability level, employment, occupation, self-esteem and confidence. So I think it's in its early infancy, but this chain of events visualization could be really useful for a range of funders, organisations, and yeah, we'll just see where it leads us really. And if nothing else, you can just play around with that. So yeah, I did have another one, but I'll just move on to adding entries now because just seeing at the bottom there you can rate, and it's simple as that. You've got to be logged in to actually rate, but that's what we want to encourage. So that's browsing for information, looking at it, commenting, interaction. Then the next step is, well, hang on a minute, the information I was looking for is not there, or perhaps I've got some information that I want to share with people. And that's when you go to the next section of the site, which is adding an entry. And there's a variety of different ways you can do that. So I'll quickly show you that. So you can create a full entry set, and that's, in an ideal world, someone would go on the site and they'd say, oh right, the work we're doing has this chain, so we've got this outcome, and we've got this chain of events which links to other outcomes, and those other outcomes might already be on the site, or they might be new as well. And you can all link that, and then you can put a stakeholder on and indicate the value. And if you do all that and link them all together, that's called a full entry set. But, realistically, you might not always have all that information. So perhaps you're just going and you just want to make connections between entries. All the outcomes that you use in your day-to-day work are on there, and you just want to share with people that you found a link between obesity and depression, something like that. Or you can just add one entry. Say you're working with a particular stakeholder that you don't think is represented of that, or you can just go on and say, well, I don't think 16 to 25-year-olds are represented there. They are, but that was an example. Interactive entries, we've talked about that. And if you want to upload a large amount of information, so say you're an organisation, you're a funder, so sponsoring, and the idea of putting up all their outcomes, we can do that. We can help you, and we can do that with a bulk upload. And we've got links with other databases. Vertigo Ventures, who are here today, that's another database full of indicators, and we've got a relationship where they're going to share with us so many indicators each month, and then we'll be updating that. And we can do that on a range of different ways, whether it's through a spreadsheet or in the future we're also looking at API which you're automating it, and that could be really exciting as well. So lastly, do not be afraid, have a go. We want to encourage people just put stuff on there and let the crowd decide whether it's useful or not. Loads of help and guidance on this site, which perhaps was lacking on the previous one. We've got guidance documents, protocols, and demonstration videos. Probably wrap up soon, but protocols are quite important to mention. If anyone's worried about the quality of the information going up there, tends to be the first question people ask, but the protocols is something we've developed, which is basically a set of requirements that we look for in entries. So we set questions, and we look for, has the user done this, has it created that, And if it ticks all the boxes, then we say, well, that's a fantastic example. A bit like Wikipedia, you can have an approved entry and an entry which is waiting for approval. Or we're just not sure what to call it, whether it's approved or not. So
that's not really quite work like that.
Sorry?
It doesn't quite work like that.
Oh, sorry. How does it work?
No, I mean, you can, on some, like Polish Wikipedia, you would have approved entries, but on English Wikipedia, you just go for it, and of the entries become like immediately. But there are admins who can then go through them, but it's not a required process like in your case. It just happens organically.
Okay.
Anyway, it's very interesting.
Cool. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'll wrap that up there because I'm aware that I'm giving a lot of information, but I hope you've got a sense of dealing with the site and what it looks like and what it can do. Has anyone got any questions about a couple of minutes before we switch over? Yeah.
Could I just ask a bit more about the functionality of it? So I'm just thinking of, David Pritchard from New Planetary Capital. If I wanted to add, say, or browse indicator or monetary values of an outcome, how would can I see them all, or do I actually go to original source documents? I wasn't quite sure.
So the information's on here. So say you're looking for a valuation, you go there and filter it, and then on the entry it would have like the valuation, and it would have a link to the original document. Yeah, so it has to have a link to that.
So I'm just thinking, as you see, the backlog of reports, say, which is Google and this way. To add those as entry, would it require extracting the individual values, putting them against indicators and outcomes?
Yes, it would. And that's the process that we can have.
Yeah.
That's quite obvious.
We'll have a conversation.
No, we'd be happy to because that is valuable information within a report.
Yeah.
But if we can extract that from a report, put it on the site, it becomes easily accessible to more people, and then it still has a link to that document. Because if I was browsing, I'd look for something, and I still want to know where it comes from. So I still want to link to that. And by doing that, you're then able to validate the quality of the information. It takes you to a link which you're perhaps not sure of the source, and you can make a judge on whether you use it.
Put it on a spreadsheet there, we'll get it done later.
All right, thanks, Jeremy.
Mary Wood from Foundation 2K. We work in the area of prevention and treatment of obesity. But one of the things that worries me is that the quality of our data is much, much poorer in areas of the highest health inequality. So that areas where, for example, English is almost inevitably the second language, where people, the quality of the feedback we get is of a very, very different level than in areas where people are much more articulate and much more compliant with the sorts of interventions we're making. So it seems to me that that this could be subtly discriminating against those who aren't able to provide very high quality, very highly articulated information.
I think we just want to encourage as much information to be put out there as possible. So it means working closer with organisations who can access that detailed information struggling to get, and that's our aim. We want to be working with some census called the What Works census, which is looking at gathering evidence for policy making. So we'll be working closely with them to get the evidence that we think is really useful for us. Does that help? Well, that's complicated about that.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
example, we've seen lots of other metrics that they cannot release data to company. Are you interested in metrics with like higher amounts without having data sets attached to them? Because that would also get around the problem they're hearing here.
Yeah.
So someone might have developed a metric system measuring session activity, for example, they're not be able to release data.
Yeah.
But it can be high level analysis saying this is what we found, but I can't give you enough data set because we can't
Extracting information. Absolutely, but I'm trying to extract information from that metric which is useful for other organisations and put it into the framework we've got on the site, and perhaps have a link to your website which will obviously only reveal information which is
Second question, with the data visualization, especially with the chain of event data visualization, is it possible to export that as VEX files?
Good question. That is what we're aiming for in the next round of development.
Okay.
Everyone said that basically looks very good. It'd be really good to print out PDF it.
No, I don't mean that when I say export it, sorry, I mean actual the VEX, the relationship between. So what we've got there, it looks like you've got visualization that's based on network analysis software. It looks like they've used that as a metaphor at least. And so the thing is that the third level that you were showing us, you'd be able to calculate how important various variables are in terms of their influence on other variables using network analysis software. So if you could export it as a CSV or some other sort of X file, you could do some quite fun actor agency analysis. Sorry.
Let's talk afterwards.
Technically, that goes over my head. Anyone else?
It's basically a link, I think, to your question. Is it possible for those people uploading data from where they think they've got links and so on to almost rate the quality of their own links? What I'm thinking is you can start off with data where you think there's something being indicated here, but I recognise this isn't as nailed down as it might be. And it still might be useful for me coming in, wanting to explore an area, to be able to get that data and go, okay, well, I can see they're saying this is only kind of a bit anecdotal. I want to clear it of all the anecdotal stuff and only see the really, really nailed down stuff. But to be able to filter it a bit like that in terms of...
You filter the site.
Well, no, if I'm pulling out relationships between, say, in a chain of events, if the people uploading the data have been able to almost rank the quality of their own data, if you like, I could go, I only want to see a link if it's really, really nailed down. But then I might want to see all the anecdotal stuff, because sometimes anecdotal stuff can be an indicator of where to go next, even if it hasn't been nailed down. So it's sort of a bit like you were saying, you could distinguish between this is very, very hard data, but this isn't quite the hard data, but nonetheless it's still important to see it, but I need to know the difference, your own view of the difference between the two. So that when someone's uploading it, you always go, okay, this is anecdotal, but I still think it's relevant. This has got loads of research attached to it. I'm expecting other lot that link is there. But to be able to parse it like that.
There is kind of, and that will be developed through the protocol, perhaps an extender as well as still. By passing these sets of protocols, it kind of gives that entry a bit of a stamp approval, saying this is good entry. There's a lot of rigor, a lot of hard evidence behind it, and therefore you can take some comfort in the fact that this entry is perhaps a little bit more reliable. Or
because that grading kind of has some steps. I mean, it's not that items. That's what.
At the moment,
some steps inside it will be useful, because I may still want to see stuff that I'm not prepared to grade, absolutely. But it may still be important to see some emerging anecdotal stuff, because that might be then where I head off to go and do a bit more drilling down.
It's difficult, but as I say, like the interaction with the site and then the ratings and the comments, and perhaps add a layer in there, like if a lot of people are giving it a thumbs up and rating it, perhaps that can give you an element of comfort. But at the moment, it is kind of like, it's either passive protocol or it's not.
If it doesn't pass the protocol, it's not put on there.
Oh no, it's not. It's on there.
Oh, it's still on there.
It's definitely on there. It's just the passive protocol and the standards, but I think it's a really good idea. We hope that we get the people using it that will work out solutions to that. Thanks. Roman?
Hi, Roman here from CAN Mezzanine. More a comment really, based off that last one. I think it's really great in sharing a lot of information and putting it on the plate. And I guess with our level of understanding of different qualities, rigor kind of links gets out there. We're not just reliant on a single expert within an organization somewhere to share this information, but we can start to crowdsource it in a way. And that will become really powerful, I think, for the sector. And dealing with some of these questions and ideas in a way. Well done. And the first step, and let's see where we go with it.
We are at the first step. I think that's inevitably what people, their heads will be when they first start engaging with it. But as Grant said, there's more interaction and more use. I hope we can come up with it. I think everyone will find their own different ways to work.
If you're going to do that, you need some common evidence scale, because I might do something that is fantastic, and somebody's going to say that's actually rubbish, unless you've got a more objective way of saying it's anecdotal, it's got a good research paper, it's got lots of research papers, you need some kind of scale, whether you choose one star to use on more than just an idea.
Exactly. That's the truth.
So you're saying it would be helpful to be able to know that without having to go through 300 papers.
You're absolutely right. What people do, so that's it. Okay.
I got a quick question, but I don't know if we don't have time.
Yeah,
it will be a simple one. It's Darius Buska from Wikipedia. I see your tagline is sharing outcomes and indicators, and I wonder, I have in my work I have a lot of outcomes I know we're going for, but the pinning down the indicators might not be as easy. And I wonder if there is a way, not by going to individual examples, but exploring different outcomes that people have uploaded and then seeing what indicators they have linked to them, if that makes sense. So different organizations, they would say, okay, so this is one outcome that we all have in common, and here is the indicator, so I can get ideas of what I can go for to measure. Does that make sense?
Within an outcome, it will have links to all the indicators that are...
Well, sure, but is that just for one organization that's uploaded it? Or... Right, okay. So it is a database of ideas that I can go for. Okay, that's good.
If you don't like what you see, edit it.
Okay.
Can I just ask, if sort of rationale, I work in Africa, and so therefore everything is different, cultural indicators, cultural outcomes, variations are very different. So I would like to, if I am being very interested, to be able to put a rationale for that.
I'm not sure what you mean by rationale, but certainly I should have said there are fields in there to differentiate between countries, so you could filter on Africa or Canada or whatever. I think that's probably the best we can do at this stage. So yeah, Phil just arrived to the end of my presentation. Phil, the developer of the website, so if you like it, tell him any more technical questions. Okay, we do have a feedback chat if anyone's got any more questions, and I'll be happy to email you and take it forward. So I hope you like it. I hope you create an account and start engaging with it. So thank you very much.